Yeah, scheduled just here. The UFC wasted no time in making the John Jones and Stipe match. I mean, well, they're at least talking about it. It's nothing set in stone, but they're aiming for International Fight Week, early July. And man, that's the fight to make. I guess it was. I mean, usually they wait a while to make fights like that, But I guess Stipe was in attendance. It's a no brainer. I mean, he's the heavyweight goat, goat versus goat, heavyweight goat against the everything goat. I'm kind of tired of the goat talk myself, if I'm honest, but at the same time, that's kind of what everyone's saying now. John Jones is the GOAT in the 30-year history of the sport. For sure, I would say he has the best argument. And if he beats Stipe, I mean, that's the heavyweight GOAT. I mean, this is also the battle of the guys who beat DC twice. This is the tiebreaker because they both beat DC twice. And that kind of a GOAT, too, because to me, those three are kind of the GOATs. I mean, as far as the upper weights, you know, um, DC, like if he really didn't lose to Stipe, he could have retired after he beat Stipe and then defended against Derek Lewis. He could have retired right there and been good, and could have been a heavyweight goat, But he decided to keep going, fought Stipe two more times and lost both of them. But yeah, John Jones, man, he's just one up in DC in every step of the way. I mean, he's passing him up. You know what I mean? He's not going to be able to erase him for history though, because DC has cemented his legacy. But as you think about it, like DC did it first. He was champ. Now John Jones is champ, and he has two wins over him. So, and if he beats Stipe and he just retires, I think that would be the best bet. Right off into the sunset for John Jones if he could just do that. You know what I mean? If he could turn his life around somewhat, kind of I mean, I don't know about vindicated, for some of the stuff he's done, but like he said, forgive himself. Maybe some of the fans will forgive him for some of the stuff he's done. And it kind of seems like they don't really matter as much anymore. And it seems like people have kind of turned the corner on it, but not everybody, obviously, because I mean, some of that shit was unforgivable. Yeah, but so this matchup right here, Stipe and John Jones. I mean, damn. I mean, my early prediction, not even just because of what happened Saturday night. I'm still kind of leaning John Jones. It's just only because Stipe is a little older now, and stuff like that. If this match was made 3 to 5 years ago, I might actually, I wouldn't say for sure like Stipe would win or anything like that, but I would give him a lot better chance. But with him, now he's a little older. He's going to be a little slower. Even though John Jones slowed down a little bit just by putting on extra weight at heavyweight, I think he's going to have more tools and more weapons. I don't think he'll be able to out wrestle Stipe. I mean, he might be able to put him up against a cage here and there, but I don't think he's not running through him like he did Gane. He's not just going to hang on and take him down. I don't think that's going to happen with Stipe because Stipe is a D1 wrestler himself. Like DC couldn't even take Stipe down or couldn't hold him down either anyway. So, I mean, and Stipe hits hard. So if John Jones just stays in that punching range, it could be trouble from Stipe. But that's also John Jones's elbow range. It's kind of like what he did with Glover. You know what I mean? Like he kind of smothered Glover and wouldn't let Glover get off with his punches, but he was in the perfect range to land his elbows, and he was throwing elbows like punches, basically. So whenever they would get a little closer, he would tie up, kind of almost like a Cain Velasquez, a Junior Dos Santos style, where he would just smother him up against the cage, let off, smother him again, let off, smother him again, like so he wouldn't be able to retaliate too much or counter because he was too busy getting smothered and just killing that distance. And I think he could have some success with that with Stipe, throwing the elbows and all that inside. But I mean, just straight up wrestling, Stipe is going to be a big, strong dude too. So he's been at heavyweight for a long time, and I mean, I think that's kind of his strength is wrestling, and he just hits hard. He has good boxing. He has great boxing, really strong. So that's where his strengths will be because I feel like Stipe could knock out anybody. I mean, he knocked out Verdum going backwards. I mean, he has highlight reel knockouts himself. But he has been knocked out. He's had a lot of time off, though, and I think that actually helps him because everyone's thinking, oh, Stipe just got knocked out. Well, it's been a while already since he's fought, so I would say, like, he probably let his brain, his body recoup enough where he can give it another go and be okay because, I mean, I know he's been training still, but, I mean, he hasn't been fighting, so he hasn't been active in all this time, and which I still don't even know why they put Gane in there and not Stipe. I feel like that last fight should have been Jones versus Stipe, but maybe it was kind of like I don't want to say a tune-up for John Jones, but because in my eyes, I thought Gon and Stipe were going to be his toughest fights at heavyweight. And well, we still remains to be seen if Stipe will be. I still think he is, but I was totally wrong on Gon because he ran through Gon. I still picked John Jones to beat him, but I didn't think he was going to run through him like that in 2 minutes or whatever it was. So, I mean, with Stipe, I don't think he can do that because Stipe does have wrestling, you know what I mean? So, and he's strong, and he has a high fight IQ himself. He made adjustments against DC throughout the fights where he won anyway, the last two. He kind of got knocked out kind of quick in the first round of their first fight, and then on the second fight, DC was winning again, and then Stipe just started landing those body shots and just throwing those uppercuts to the body, hooks to the body, and DC didn't make those adjustments, and Stipe did, and then they fought again, and it was similar. I don't think DC was at his best, obviously, at that time. He was on his way out pretty much, but still, they still fought. They signed on the line, and Stipe won that one a little bit more convincingly. So, I mean, it's going to be an exciting fight when it does happen. International Fight Week. I don't know if they announced any part of the card. I mean, it's not actually set in stone. Like, both of them have verbally agreed, both fighters, but it's not actually set in stone yet. So I could because I haven't want to make another video like what's up with Jamal Hill, like what's up with him. They haven't really said much since he won the title. There was some talk of Alex Bahia. There was talk of, I mean, obviously Yuri. It kind of depends on that timetable when he's coming back. But they haven't even mentioned anything about Ankalaev and Jan, if they're going to rematch or what's going on with that. So it's kind of like a little bit in limbo on that one. I guess maybe it just depends on Yuri's comeback and his time frame. But I mean, that's another one I'm excited about. That would be a nice one to have on that card as well if Yuri could be back in time. Have those ones like the light heavyweight and the champ and the heavyweight champ on the line would be a good one for International Fight Week. But, yeah, a lot of exciting cards coming up. I'm just excited that they announced it. I mean, like I said, it's not set in stone, but they announced it. Like, they're already working on that. And John Jones, he was calling out Stipe basically. So he's going to get it if that's what he wants. And Stipe's been wanting it. And the guy who's on the sidelines, barking from the sidelines from PFL country, just talking crap. And John Jones just, basically just shut him down, said, for all those muscles, you're nothing but a big old P, big old P word, big old Panocha. And I was like, it's like crazy, you know what I mean? And he said that out of nowhere, and he's like, I like that line, all that muscle, and you're just that. But, so, I mean, John Jones went for the jugular with that one. I mean, really, Francis was offered the John Jones fight. They tried to make that fight for a couple years, and it didn't happen, so he wanted more money, and so now he's out of the organization, so he can't say anything. He's not still the king. They didn't fight, and I always thought that Francis would be an easier matchup. I thought he was even gone. I definitely think that's wrong, but I still think he's not as tough a matchup as Stipe. But like I said, Stipe hasn't fought in a while. He's getting older, and we'll see. I mean, but the last thing to leave is power. And heavyweights, and Stipe has power, and he has a nice, good reach. He has about an 80-inch reach himself, so he'll be right there. A lot of championship experience as well. Like, basically the heavyweight go. Him and DC are right there, and I mean, neck and neck. He did beat DC twice, so you got to give him that edge. But DC doesn't do that, take those last two fights against Stipe. He's probably the heavyweight goat, or if he was training with Kane, was the reason he went down to light heavyweight to challenge John Jones anyway in the first place, or he could have just been in heavyweight that whole time reigning, who knows. But yeah, I don't know what you guys think. Who takes that fight? Like I said, my early favorite is definitely John Jones, not just because Saturday, just because it's the matchup. He's just going to be better everywhere as far as striking-wise, maybe not just in the boxing range. And wrestling are kind of will cancel each other out. So, but that's one thing. But where it still remains to be seen. We've seen Stipe go 5 rounds at heavyweight. We have not seen John Jones yet. I mean, he got a little tired just from the wrestling. I mean, what if Stipe comes in and just tries to wrestle that whole time and tries to wear out John Jones that way? It's interesting. It's an interesting matchup because both guys are already training for each other, and I'm sure you've been watching each other forever. Like Jones said, he has been training for Stipe for a long time because he thought that fight was going to happen when he went to heavyweight. So that's an interesting matchup, and I don't know what you guys think. Who thinks takes that? Is John Jones, is he just the GOAT now? If he beats Stipe, what does that do? He's not the heavyweight GOAT if he beats Stipe. I mean, is he just the GOAT? I mean, company's only been around 30 years. It's kind of hard to even just throw that word around so much. Like every other week is GOAT this, GOAT that. But if there is one, I would say there's nobody that actually beat John Jones other than that downward 12-6 elbow against Matt Hamill back in the day. That he was already winning that fight. So yeah, we'll see what happens next, and what's else is coming up for the rest of those cards too. Valentina and Shevchenko and Grasso are already talking. She wants their immediate rematch. And one thing I do want to say before I stop is that I do think Valentina's looking at this different or wrong anyway by saying that like she was dominating the fight until she made the spinning back kick and got caught. I mean, because that just makes it seem like you were a little bit in denial, like what was going on in that fight. Yeah, you were up 2-1. Maybe it would have been up 3-1. It might have been 2-2 after that fourth round, but you were getting tagged, and Grasso was tagging her every round. Every single round, she landed some big shots. Like maybe not enough to win every round. Obviously, I thought she won the first round, and Valentina took the next 2 and 3. But she definitely was, every time she was letting off of the combo, she was landing something big. And Valentina felt it, and you could tell she was stunned. She was kind of like she didn't know what to do, and she was doing some desperation takedowns. I mean, both fighters have a lot to learn from the next fight, on the rematch when they have it. So I mean, now it's like kind of like if Valentina wins. There's one thing I don't like about the immediate rematch is that obviously Valentina deserves it. I'm not saying that at all, but it's like every fight now, if you become champ, you got to literally win 2 in a row to get on with the rest of the division. Or say Valentina wins, what are they going to say now? Now a rubber match, now you're going to win 3. You're going to have to fight the same person 3 times, and then then the rest of the division is just waiting. It's kind of like what Figueiredo and Brandon Moreno. Like, to me, I didn't really believe Figgy deserved that immediate rematch because he never actually defended the bout. The time he defended the bout was a draw against Moreno. That was his first title defense. The second one he lost, and then he comes back and gets a immediate rematch and then wins that, and then there's another rematch. It's like the rest of the division, Pantoja, all these guys are just waiting in limbo. It just doesn't make sense to me. Like, I don't know why I get it, but this sport is so young. 30 years in, every single time there's a champ that defends it once or twice, you got to have an immediate rematch. I mean, I just feel like he should go back. I'm not saying go all the way back to the line, but at least to the top 3 to 5 or whatever, at least another fight or 2, and then get back, regardless of how many title fights you want. It's one thing if you are John Jones, Anderson Silva. I get it. Like I said, Valentina deserves it. She had like 7 title defenses or whatever, but still, it's kind of like, man, now the rest, what if she wins and it goes back? It's the rest of these contenders are just taking each other off. I don't know. It just kind of stalls the division out, which is why they should even have more weight classes too. Like just so you have more champions and less weight cuts and all that. But that's another video. So yeah, see you guys next time.